Chapter 1. The White Rabbit. Oh, what a hot day it was, and what a most curious day it would turn out to be for young Alice. She and her sister had just finished a picnic by the pond in the meadow. They were sitting in the shade of a great oak tree. Alice suddenly felt very sleepy. She yawned and wondered what to do next. She looked over to a grassy bank by the hedge. It was covered in daisies. I wonder, she thought lazily, if the pleasure of making a daisy chain is worth all the effort of getting up and picking the daisies. That was the moment she saw a white rabbit with pink eyes hurrying by the hedge. It was wearing a colorful waistcoat and it ran right past her. For some reason, Alice didn't think that was odd at all. She didn't even think it a little strange when she heard the rabbit talking to itself. Oh dear, said the white rabbit. I shall be too late. Oh dear, oh dear. The rabbit took a watch from its waistcoat pocket, looked at the time, and then hurried on. Alice was now very curious and got to her feet. She followed the rabbit and was just in time to see it pop down a rabbit hole under the hedge. Without any hesitation, Alice followed it. She didn't give it a thought to how she might get out again. The rabbit hole took Alice into a long, dark tunnel. It seemed to go on for ages before suddenly dropping away into what seemed to be a very deep well. Now she was falling and unable to stop herself. Either the well was very deep or she was falling very slowly, for as she fell, there was plenty of time to look about. The sides of the well were covered with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there, Alice saw maps and hanging pictures. She reached out as she fell down a jar from one of the cupboards. It was labeled Orange Marmalade. She opened it, but to her disappointment, it was empty. Alice continued falling. Well, said, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling downstairs again. Down, down, down she went. Would the fall never come to an end? How many miles have I fallen now, she wondered. I must be getting close to the center of the earth. Let me see. That would be 4,000 miles down, wouldn't it? Alice imagined she might fall right through the earth, come out the other side, and find people walking on their heads. Down, down, down. There was nothing else to do, so Alice continued talking to herself. Dinah will miss me tonight, I should think. Dinah was Alice's cat. I wish she was with me now, continued Alice. There don't seem to be any mice here, but Dinah might catch a bat. And bats are a bit like mice, but do cats eat bats? Alice seemed to be dreaming. At first she was asking, do cats eat bats? And then, do bats eat cats? Suddenly her fall came to an end. Thump, 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 thump. Chapter 2 is called The Golden Key. Alice landed on a thick pile of sticks and dry leaves. She wasn't hurt and immediately jumped up to her feet. She saw another tunnel ahead of her, and there was the white rabbit scurrying along it. Alice scampered after it. The rabbit was still talking to itself. "Oh, my ears and whiskers," it said. "How late it's getting." Now Alice was close behind the animal. Not for long, though. The white rabbit quickly turned a corner and vanished. Alice reached the corner and found herself in a long, low hall. It was lit by a row of lamps hanging from the roof. The white rabbit was nowhere to be seen. There were lots of doors around the hall, but Alice found they were all locked. She was just wondering how she would ever get out of this hall when she spotted a little glass table. In the middle of the room, lying on the table, was a tiny golden key. Alice was sure the key would open one of the doors. She tried every one, but it was too small and didn't fit any of them. Alice was about to give up when her shoulder accidentally brushed aside a small curtain. Hidden behind it was a tiny door, no more than 15 inches high. She tried the golden key in the lock, and to her delight, it fitted. She opened the door. It led into a small passage, not much larger than a rat hole. Alice knelt down and looked through the passage. She saw the loveliest garden she had ever seen. How she longed to escape from the hall and wander among the beds full of wonderful flowers. Better still, how she yearned to dance in the cool fountain she saw. But the doorway was so small that she could not get her head through. And even if I could get my head through, thought poor Alice, it would be very little use without my shoulders. She turned and looked back at the table on which she had found the key. She was amazed to see that a small bottle now stood on the table. It hadn't been there before, she was sure, and around the neck of the bottle was a label. Alice locked the small door and went back to the table. Printed on the label of the bottle were 2 words: "Drink me, drink me, drink me." Alice was no fool. She wasn't going to drink a bottle just because the label said she should. I'd better look closer, she thought, and make sure it doesn't say poison somewhere. However, the bottle was not marked poison, so she put the golden key down on the table, slowly picked up the bottle, and put it to her lips. She started to drink. She found it very tasty. It had the flavor of cherry tart, pineapple, custard, roast turkey, toffee, and hot buttered toast and beans. She finished it off in one gulp. "What a curious feeling," said Alice, putting the bottle down on the floor. "I feel as if I've shrunk. I feel as if I've shrunk." And indeed she had. She was now only 10 inches high. How wonderful, she thought. Now I can get through the door and into the garden. But first she waited to see if she was going to shrink any more. She was a bit nervous about that. Perhaps, thought Alice, I'll shrink until there's nothing left of me. I might vanish, just like a candle burning away to nothing, to nothing. After a while, nothing happened and Alice didn't get any smaller, so she went back to the little door. She was about to open it when she remembered she had left the key on the table. She turned around and was able to walk back. "The table!" she exclaimed. "It's now so big and I'm so small, I can't reach the key." She walked over and did her best to climb up on one of the table legs. It was too slippery and she just ended up in a heap on the floor. Alice tried it several more times, but it proved impossible. She looked up at the golden key. It was so near and yet so far away. Finally, she sat down on the floor and burst into tears. Into tears. Into tears. Chapter 3. 9 feet tall. Alice didn't cry for long. "Come on," she told herself. "It's no use crying. Stop this minute." Just then, she caught sight of a small glass box lying under the table. Once more, she was sure it hadn't been there before. She opened the box and found one very small cake inside. On the top of the cake were 2 words, spelt out in currants: "Eat me." "I shall eat it," said Alice. "Perhaps it will make me bigger. Then I can reach the key, and if it makes me smaller than ever, I can probably creep under the little door and get into the garden anyway." Alice ate a small piece. "Which way am I going?" she asked herself, a hand on her head to see if she was growing up or down. She was surprised to find that she remained at the same size. To be sure, this is what generally happened when one ate cake. But Alice said, come to expect unexpected things to happen in the strange world where she now found herself. She found it quite boring that nothing strange had happened, so she set about finishing the cake. Then something did start to happen. "Curiouser and curiouser," said Alice, quite forgetting how to speak good English and using words she would never find even in the most curious of dictionaries. "I think I'm being stretched out and becoming taller and taller." She looked down at her feet. They seemed to be disappearing into the distance. "Goodbye, feet," she said. "I don't know who will put on your stockings and shoes for you now. I won't be able to. I shall be a great deal too high above you to reach. You must do the best you can, but I promise to send you a new pair of boots for a present each Christmas." Alice laughed. How strange it was to be talking of sending a present to one's own feet. She imagined the address on the parcel label: Alice's right foot, by the floor, close to the left foot. She started to giggle. What nonsense I am talking. Ouch. Just then her head struck the roof of the hall. Alice was now very thin, but rather more 9 feet tall. She started to cry again. "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," she sobbed. "A big girl like you weeping away like this. Stop this instant, I tell you." But she couldn't. Alice kept on crying until there was a large pool of tears surrounding her. It was nearly 6 inches deep and reached halfway down the hall. Suddenly, the White Rabbit reappeared. He was now splendidly dressed, carrying a pair of white gloves and a large fan in his hand. "Oh, the Duchess will be so angry," he mumbled to himself. "I'm late, and she will be so angry. She'll be savage because I have kept her waiting." "If you please, sir," cried Alex, "can you help me?" The White Rabbit stopped and took one glance at Alice. Then he dropped his white gloves and a fan and scurried away as fast as he could. He scurried